Full-sized SUVs like this Ford Expedition are fantastic for road trips. But with gas prices soaring over $5 a gallon, you may need to take that into consideration before you choose which one you want. Well, what if you choose the Ford Expedition? Just how efficient is it on the highway? Today, we're going to find out. This is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we're conducting the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2022 Ford Expedition Limited. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look around it. New for the 22 model year, this particular Expedition Limited is fitted with the Stealth Performance package. So under the hood we have a 3.5-liter twin turbocharged EcoBoost V6 putting out 440 horsepower and 510 foot-pounds of torque. We've also got special wheels, red brake calipers, and some super sporty black mirror caps. But in all seriousness, this is a big cozy SUV really meant for big families and big road trips. So this is actually a very, very relevant test that we're running today. And I'm excited to see how this thing does. This is your only powertrain choice in the new Expedition. However, if you don't opt for the Limited with the Stealth Performance pack, it does make a little bit less power, but gas mileage figures don't really change all that much from the 380 horsepower Expedition to this big 440 horsepower version. So consider this a test for the entire Expedition line. This particular Expedition, though, is four-wheel drive, so take that into consideration as well as you watch. If you'd like to know more about this Expedition, we will have links down below to the sound system tests of the B&O Unleashed speaker system, as well as a full POV review of this Expedition Limited. All right, cool. Well, with all that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get started on our test. Automatic running boards. Thank you, sir. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's fuel economy test, which gives this Expedition Limited 22 MPG on the highway, only averages 48 miles per hour. And we know that some people like to take their cars on actual road trips that involve going on the highway and driving 70 miles per hour. So what we're gonna do today is go out 25 miles and back 25 miles, averaging 70 miles per hour to get a more real world figure. A couple things worth noting for today's test. Outside temperature is 83 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to be running the climate control at 73 degrees auto in here, and the tires have been pumped up to their door placard indicated 39 PSI cold. We're also going to be using the same gas pump both times, using the same 3-click filling method to get the most accurate results possible. Cool. Let's hop out and grab our first fill. And 15.42 gallons in there for our first fill. I've been driving this Expedition around all week, and it's been getting about 15 MPG combined. So I'm anxious to see what it'll get at 70 miles per hour on the highway. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's get our trip reset here. Climate control is already set to 73 degrees auto, and we'll go ahead and we'll start our timer. Cool. Let's hit the road, as most dads that drive Expeditions probably say. So we've got a couple of different drive modes in this Expedition. Let's go ahead and go through them here. We've got normal, eco, sport, tow haul, mud ruts, sand, slippery, and then back to normal again. Of course, today we're going to be driving in eco mode in two-wheel drive to give this thing the best chance at meeting its EPA estimated 22 highway. Now, the purpose of this test is not to hypermile. I'm simply going to get onto the highway, set the cruise control to a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour, and just drive and see what this thing gets in a very real world setting. Cruising now on the highway at 72 miles per hour. We do actually have a couple of different driver aids in this Expedition. As you can see, it is actually steering for me right now. We've got Ford's Lane Keep Assist as well as Radar Cruise, and you can adjust all of those functions here on your steering wheel. We're going to set the Radar Cruise for the closest function, and we'll go ahead and leave Lane Keep Assist on and just see how that behaves on our trip today. Overall first impressions, this thing is super cozy. I always love riding in Expeditions and Navigators because the ride quality is always pretty nice. Even with these slightly larger wheels and sport-tuned suspension, this Expedition Stealth Performance still floats down the highway with no problem. The seats are also super soft. We've got the functionality for heated and cooled seats, which we aren't using today, just to be as economical as we can, but if you want them, they are there. Wind and road intrusion, not bad either. It's decently quiet here. There's a little bit of road noise, but overall, not a bad experience here in this Expedition Limited. Right off the bat, we are reading out just under 14 MPG on our trip computer here, but it is continuing to go up there, 13.7, 13.8, and let's hope that that continues to creep up, 13.9. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and complete my little 50-mile drive here, and I will catch up with you guys once I am towards the end. Finishing up our trip here in the Ford Expedition Limited, and I've got to say, I've had a really comfortable experience here in this SUV. I don't really have many complaints. I'd say, honestly, if I have any complaint, it would be how often this thing asks me to keep my hands on the wheel. And my hands have been on the wheel the whole time. It's very, I don't think insensitive is the word. It doesn't, whatever sensor they have, I don't know if it's a pressure sensor, if it's a motion sensor, or what it is. It's been yelling at me like every 2 seconds to keep my hands on the wheel. However, I will say that the actual lane keep assist, the radar cruise, all does a really great job. I like it better than the system in the Navigator because the Navigator watches your eyes and makes sure that you're like looking at the road. And when you wear a GoPro on your face, it gets even more confused than this one does by you not touching the steering wheel. If any of that just made sense. But I do really like driving this thing. It's very comfortable. I'm not, tired. Granted, it's only been about 45 miles, but this thing's been doing a great job. The B&O Unleashed sound system is actually really good as well. Make sure you check out Charlie's video on that. Very impressive system. But overall, been having a good time. Curious to see what this thing is going to end up getting. On our readout here, we've got 22.1 MPG, so just about our EPA rating there. So we shall see once we get to the pump what this Expedition actually got. So I will meet you guys once I have brimmed the tank on the Expedition Limited. Okay, and 2.328 gallons in there for our final fill. Let's go ahead and do some math. So today's journey was 49.12 miles. We'll go ahead and divide that by the 2.328 gallons of petrol that we just put into the Expedition. And that gives us 21.09 MPG. So just below EPA here. But I'm telling myself this truck has the Stealth Performance Pack, and I don't know if EPA really takes that into consideration. I mean, you'd assume whatever's on the window sticker is going to be the most accurate reading, but still 21 MPG from this Expedition today. The cluster was reading out just over 22, so if you wanted to average between what the car is reading and what we're reading, put you right in the middle, somewhere around 21.5. But with our math, 21 MPG. Now, this Expedition has a 23.2 gallon tank, which gives us an effective highway cruising range of 480 miles. So not quite to that 500 mile mark, but dang close. So 21 MPG, about 480 miles of cruising range. I would say that this is a pretty decent performance from this massive twin-turbo V6 SUV. Anything over 20 MPG I feel like is pretty appropriate for this car. Well, cool guys, thank you all so much for watching. This has been a fuel economy test on the 2022 Ford Expedition Limited 4-wheel drive. This has been Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.